trademark application process. So you Google IP Australia login. IPA e-services is what you're after. You will already have set up your login. You type in your email address and your login details. Mine just goes in automatically. There are 4 different quadrants or panels here. Your portfolio, which will show your history and correspondence. The second one is where we actually do the filing. This is bottom left. Then top right is where you're going to make a payment after you filed your initial trademark application. And then bottom right is your actual details. So today we're using the bottom left, which is the second one here that says trademarks. Later on, after it's filed and an initial report is issued, you have to come in here and pay what's called a Part 2 fee. So this is the third bullet point down on the top right-hand panel. If you do not pay your Part 2 fee within the time limit allocated by the Intellectual Property Office or IP Australia, your trademark will lapse. So you have to come in and pay the Part 2 fee, and I think it's something like 7 or 10 days from the date you get your first official correspondence. So today we actually do the filing. So we're going here, My e-services, trademarks. So it's the bottom left corner, the second one down. And then you get all of these options. It's not the first one. It's the second one that says TM Head Start Pre-Application Service. And we're looking for Part 1. So you click the first bullet point there. And it should take us to the filing process. Now, before you even start, you need to have your trademark, you need to have decided what trademark you're filing, whether it's a logo or a word mark, and you also need to have decided about whether or not, or what goods or services you want to protect, and also what classes you want covered. Now, remember, if you file in more than one class, every class attracts a government fee. This part, this Head Start part, the fee is $200 per class, but later you're going to have to pay an additional of $130 per class. So you're already going to have your trademark classes and specification worked out. And so you type in a reference if you want to. If you're only filing one trademark, it doesn't matter. This part here is important. Are you the applicant or the agent? If you're a sole trader and you trade under a business name, this part you need to fill in as applicant, because you will personally own the trademark. Your business name cannot own a trademark. But if you are representing a company, maybe you're the sole shareholder and director, then you put in here agent. Okay, so we're going to go with agent today because it's slightly more complicated, but if you're applicant, just follow the prompts. You can read all of that if you want to. Then it tells you here how you would like to be contacted, and this is for the initial contact. So when they provide a preliminary report, do you want just email or phone and email? So I would select phone and email, and if you're selecting phone and email, then they're going to want to know a phone number. Obviously, you put your real phone number in there where they can contact you. And then you click next, and this is where you need to put in the details. So if you're putting in your own details, you can put it in there, or if it's an organization, which would be your company, let's just say so, and then you type in country, address, and you save the applicant. This part here, sometimes it gives you an address suggestion. I've never found any difference between keep this address and the address suggestion. It'll give you 2 options down here. I just keep the address as I typed it in. assuming it's correct, of course. There is an option here to add another applicant. So if two people are in a joint venture together, you might want to be joint applicants. That can cause problems in the future. It's always best to be a sole applicant, because then you've got sole control of that trademark. So then you click next. And you go into this. And so previously you put the applicant's details. Now you're putting the main contact person's details. And that's already all pre-filled in for me because I've used it before, obviously. You need to put the contact person's details. So you put your name here, phone number. Obviously put your real phone number in, and your email address. If they don't have an email address at which to contact you, then, well, it won't let you go any further. So you have to have at least one phone number and an email address. If you're usually only available on your mobile, then put the mobile as the main phone number there. And if you're going to be overseas, then in the previous one, you would probably click only email contact. So then you go next. And now we're getting to the nitty-gritty. This, I never select the middle one. So you're either going to be the top one, which is a word or phrase in plain text, or it's going to be a logo. So the logo would, for me, would include anything that is not just a word that you can type in. So let's have a look at the logo quickly first. And so all you have to do is, with the logo, you have to choose a file, it'll go into your system, and you choose a file that's got your logo in it. Obviously make it fairly high res so that people can see, very nicely what your logo is. And if you clicked into the little question mark, it tells you here, it will only accept JPEG, TIFF, or PNG files. So if you're trying to file a logo and it's not working, you might have the wrong format. Oh, you can't do a back arrow on their form. It's taking me back to the beginning. Oh well, I'll show you how to just enter it as an applicant then. Sorry, we've gone back. Don't press back arrow on your browser. Tip. Okay. It wants my email address. Next. So now we're back to where we were when I hit the back arrow. So previously I showed you about a logo. Now I'm going to show you a word. Now remember, you want to avoid anything that's descriptive. You want to avoid anything that could be geographic, and you want to avoid first names on their own or surnames on their own. And so our law firm is Acacia Law. And so when I registered our name, I didn't register Acacia Law because law is purely descriptive. So I just registered Acacia. For those of you in Brisbane, you would know that there actually is a suburb called Acacia Ridge. I didn't know that when I first registered my trademark. So there is some leeway with geographic names, but mostly they could be problematic. So anyway, you type in what it is you're wanting to protect, excluding descriptive parts, and you click next. Does your word contain non-English words or foreign characters? If it does, click yes. And so if it's an Italian word or a Zulu word, so for example, if I was to file the word amanzi, which is a Zulu word for water, I would say the English translation of the Zulu word amanzi appearing in the mark is water. So that's how you fill that in. But generally, you probably won't have a foreign word, so you just click no, and that bit disappears. Have you applied to register identical mark within the last 6 months? If you say yes, then they're going to want to know details, and sometimes you can claim that earlier date, but very unlikely. So no, and click next. So now this is where you come to the nitty-gritty. This is a very important part, and this is the part that you would have worked out before even logging on. So I'm going to move away from my acacia law example for the moment. I'm going to use the example of clothing. So before I started this process, I knew that I wanted to register for clothing and shoes in class 25. So my list says shoes, so I have to put it in there and search. Now what will happen is that the system will bring up lots of items, 81 items, from 12 different classes. But because I did my research beforehand, I know that the only class I want is class 25. And I know that because that's the class that's for clothing, footwear, and headgear. I want just normal clothing. I don't want brake shoes for machines. I don't want rubber shoes, which are for protection against safety, against accidents. I don't want paste for cleaning shoes. So because I've done my research at the beginning, I know that I want shoes. Now, they've brought up this amazing long list, and you could tick them all, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the most important thing is to get the broadest description. So shoes would cover all of these other kind of shoes. Rugby shoes, pads, not the parts of shoes. So it would include men's shoes, leather shoes, hockey shoes. But what I might do is I might include shoe parts here. So I'm doing heels, heel protectors, midsoles, pads, reinforcements. You can click rubber shoes other than for protection against accident or injury, but honestly, the word shoes covers every kind of shoe. If you're particularly interested in, I don't know, walking shoes, you could click that as well. You can click up to 100 items, so don't be shy. Then you just scroll down to the very bottom of the page and add selected items. Now, when I did my research before, I saw that class 25 is this clothing, footwear, and headgear. And I didn't only want shoes, but I wanted maybe socks. So I'll type in socks and see what that comes up with. Class 10, I don't want it. Class 25, that's what I'm looking for. Socks, foot socks, slipper socks, bed socks, sport socks, yes. But maybe there's other footwear that I haven't covered with my shoes and my socks. But I've already done the search before, so I know exactly what it is that I'm looking for. So I'm clicking this. And footwear. Again, footwear is so broad that it covers all of the other kind of footwear. Oh, and look here, this is a good one. It's so broad. It says clothing, footwear, and headgear. Yes. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get you as broad goods or services as we can, but in that one class, because we only want to pay one fee. You might have decided you need 6 classes, and that's fine if you're prepared to pay the 6 fees. For me, for this example, I want to limit my costs, so I want to only pay 1 fee. So I'm happy with that now. I'm going to go down, add selected items. And that's all that I've decided that I want to add in my trademark. So I click next. And this is the payment page. It is important to check everything here. Make sure the applicant's correct, the address, contact details, and the class 25 and the goods. If you've accidentally selected another class, a second class will be listed here. And then use this arrow here that says previous. Don't go up to your browser arrow, otherwise you're going to have to start again. So bottom right, click add to cart. And there was one that I did previously, which I hadn't paid. So I don't want the old one. Are you sure you want it? Yes. So this is the one that we wanted now. Obviously, this is why it's important to put a reference number in at the beginning, because then you can see exactly what you file in for. So then you proceed to pay. And it's just like any other payment thing. You put in your bank details and press pay and submit. Now, they will then, on the screen, a filing receipt will issue. It is absolutely important to print screen that or somehow save that PDF, that screen filed receipt, because sometimes other receipts are not issued. So it's essential to keep that. The next part of the process is that you will hear from IP Australia. If you tick the box for them to phone you, they'll phone you, and they will also send you the oh dear, they will also send you the invoice. Sorry, they won't send you the invoice. They'll send you the preliminary report by email. And when they send you the preliminary report, it'll either say your trademark application is absolutely fine, or it will say your trademark application has some problems. If it's fine, please immediately pay that Part 2 application fee, which was I showed you right at the very beginning. I'll just remind you. If you miss the deadline for paying Part 2, then you'll be in big trouble. So you log in again, and this is at the top right-hand side, is where you pay TM Head Start pre-application Part 2 fee. And it's pretty simple. All you have to put in is your reference and then the IP right number. And the IP right number will be on the trademark application report that you receive. And it won't let me go next because I haven't put in a trademark number. And then there'll just be a payment page. So it's an extra 130 per class at this stage. Now, if the report issues and it's problematic, you then need to decide whether or not you're going to go ahead with it and pay that second part, or whether you're going to abandon it. Now, if that report shows that there's a prior trademark that's blocking your trademark from being registered, not only is it blocking your trademark from being registered, but if you use your trademark or your brand name, you will most likely be infringing that prior trademark. So it is very, very important at that stage to make a decision, potentially to change the trademark name, or get in touch with me. Send me a copy of the report as soon as you get it to Catherine@acacialaw.com, CATHRYN @ACACIALAW.com. You've got a very limited time, 7 to 10 days, to pay the second fee. Otherwise, you have to start your application again. But more importantly, if you are infringing somebody's trademark, then you might end up being sued for infringement. You might have to pay back all of the profits that you've made under that trademark. So it could be significantly serious. There would be a small fee in me assisting you from that point, but if you send it through to me, I can give you a list of options, potential costs, and potential outcomes, but it is not something to be ignored. So well done. At this point, once you've followed all of these steps, you've filed your trademark, and the next thing that will happen is you will hear from IP Australia, and remember to pay the Part 2 fee. If your report is clear, it says that everything is fine. If everything is not fine, please be in touch with me and I can help you further with that. So good luck with it. Hopefully it just sails through and everything works out perfectly.